Hello and welcome. This is Angie Holden and I blog at the Country Chic Cottage, and today we're going to talk about Cricut Hacks. So I have 10 great hacks for you that I've loved using over the years and I thought you might enjoy them as well. So let's start simple. First of all, maybe you've cut something on your mat. Now this applies to any mat and any material actually. So if you've cut something on your mat, the tendency is to pick up that material and just rip it off the mat. Has this ever happened to you? Like you get this curled up piece of paper or vinyl because you've pulled it off your mat. Do you want to know the right way to get material off your mat? The correct way is to turn your mat upside down. So mat side up, material side down, and peel the mat back from the material. So that's the secret. So as you peel that mat back, your paper or whatever you have cut will release and it will stay much flatter than before. So here we have the piece where I pulled the mat back from the material. This piece, I pulled the material off the mat, and you can see a huge difference. So think about that the next time you cut something on your Cricut. Be sure to peel the mat back from the material. All right, second tip has to do with transfer tape. So transfer tape is what you use on vinyl to transfer it to any surface and to keep all those little pieces together. So if I have a piece of transfer tape, does not matter what kind, whatever is your favorite kind, and I'm adding it to a piece of vinyl, the hack is that this transfer tape can be reused. Like, I'm talking 5, 6, 7 times you can use one piece of transfer tape. So once you put this vinyl on whatever you're making, use this piece of transfer tape on your next project. If it's sitting there on your craft table, right? So I'm gonna make multiple projects. I'll just keep reusing that transfer tape until it just does not work anymore. Or you can even just stick it back on the backing paper and keep it for your next projects, even if your next project is tomorrow. So reuse that transfer tape and save a little bit of money on your crafting. Next tip is a brayer. So a lot of people don't think that this little tool from Cricut is necessary. It 100% is. So you can use a brayer, any brand will work. This is the Cricut brand. You can use a brayer like this for stamping or something like that. What does it do and why do you need it? Well, any material that you're putting on your mat, so this is just some vinyl that I have laying here. If I lay that down on my mat and my mat is not very sticky, it's gonna wanna come up, right? So it's gonna be coming up on the edges, and I'm gonna think that I need a new mat. Like my mat's not sticky enough, or maybe like I need to wipe it down with a baby wipe or whatever you do to clean your mats. But that might not be the case. Your mat might be plenty sticky. The secret is a brayer. If you just run that brayer over that material, you can extend the life of your mat so much because it helps to lay that material down flat, and all of a sudden it's stuck all the way around to this mat that I didn't think was sticky enough, all because I just had this brayer. I recommend the brayer for all materials, all mats. Get one, use it, it will change your life. All right, next tip. This should have been my number one tip. Test cuts. Please, please, please start using a test cut when you're working with your Cricut machine. What I see people do is just design something in a Cricut design space, hit that send button, load that mat, press the C, and just start cutting. But you might be cutting a material you have never cut before. Maybe that glitter vinyl that you got off Amazon because it was a really great deal. Do a small heart in one corner so you do not ruin that entire sheet with a cut that does not work. Please do your test cuts. I beg you. It will save you tons of time, tons of material, and your sanity. On that subject, however, say I don't do a test cut. Before you remove that mat from your machine, I want you to do something for me. So at the end, I'm done cutting, and on my Explore or Maker, the arrow button starts flashing, or on the Joy, it tells me to unload the mat. Don't press the button. Do not press the button. Check your material first. Is it cut all the way through? Does everything look okay? Does the mat that is hanging out of my machine at this point, does it look okay? If not, if it looks like it needs another pass or another cut, if you press this Cricut C again before unloading your mat, your Cricut will make another pass over the same area and cut once again. This is a lifesaver for so many materials. One in particular I can think of is infusible ink. I always check my infusible ink cuts before I remove them from the machine, and I just click that C if it's not cut all the way through, allow it to run over again, and I don't scrap that super expensive infusible ink. To use that Cricut C as often as possible. All right, let's talk about weeding. Everyone's favorite subject sometimes and not so favorite subject other times. Okay, so I cut a little design from vinyl on my Cricut Joy a few minutes ago, and I'm ready to weed it. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is rip this vinyl right off this mat and start weeding. Don't do that. So part of the problem with weeding is getting your material to stand still, and perhaps it's kind of curved up a little bit from where you jerked it off the mat. I know you didn't follow number one. That's okay. If you leave your vinyl on your mat while you weed, you will find that it's much easier to actually weed your design. So leave it right on that mat and just start weeding away that design. And you'll find that weeding is much easier because your vinyl stays in place and there's no more trying to hold it down. So I recommend leaving that vinyl on the mat as you weed away the excess. Make your life so much easier. And while we're talking about those mats, do you ever get confused by what material goes on what mat? Like I see you're struggling, right? One tip is to take your mat, and you know it has a clear protective cover on the outside. You can make yourself notes on this clear protective cover in Sharpie. So whatever you need to remember. Do you need to remember to mirror your cut? Do you need to remember that you should always put that regular cardstock on your blue mat? Write it on the front of this clear protective sheet, and that way every time you go to remove that sheet and say apply that HTV to the mat, you will see right there that it says mirror for HTV and remember every single time. So any notes, any reminders, write them on that clear protective sheet. All right, so now let's talk about layering vinyl. So I have this little piece here that I've been weeding, and now I want to layer it with two more pieces. So a vinyl project that has 3 layers. Sounds kind of complicated, but we have a helper here that is also a hack. Parchment paper. And you might find that in your kitchen. What in the world are you going to do with parchment paper and this vinyl? Well, let me tell you. So what parchment paper, we just need a small piece the size of our project. And what this is going to allow you to do, vinyl doesn't stick to parchment paper, but I can see through the parchment paper to my vinyl design. So let's take a closer look at layering with parchment paper. First of all, I'm following my own advice and reusing that transfer tape. So we want to start with the layer that's on top. So in this case, that's going to be white. And we're just going to burnish that down really well. And this is actually still on my mat, so we'll just peel that back and peel back that backing. So now I have that first layer on my transfer tape. Now comes the magic parchment paper. So now we want to get the next layer. So this is my second layer. And we want to add that parchment paper. So what is going to make this easiest is if you have a straight edge, at least on one side. And we are going to add this parchment paper over the top. Now you can see, like, I can still see through it, right? And we just want to leave a little bit of area over here where this is showing. So this backing sheet is still showing just a little bit and isn't covered by the parchment. And now what I can do is I can put this snowflake on top, and I can move it on this parchment paper so it's not sticking to the parchment paper, and I can just move it around until I get it exactly in the right location. And then I'm going to stick it to that backing paper that's exposed on the side, and I'm just gonna kind of shuffle this parchment paper out of there. And for larger designs especially, I would go slow. So I would shuffle the parchment paper out and press from this side. And now that white is perfectly on my next color. Now we can keep going. We can do the exact same thing on a third color, a fourth color, whatever we want to do. The easiest way to layer is with some parchment paper right from your kitchen. So now I'm going to add this to this darker blue layer. And again, it's not sticking to the parchment paper, so I can just move it around, get it just perfect right where I want it, stick it on the one side, and then just kind of shimmy that parchment paper out as I stick it down. And now we have a layered decal, just that easy. All right, that's a pretty life-changing hack. If you struggle with layering, grab yourself some parchment paper out of your kitchen. If you don't have it in your kitchen, run to the grocery store, pick it up, because you are gonna want it for all your layered designs. You don't want to layer without parchment paper any longer. All right, we still have 2 more hacks to go. How's this even possible? Okay, next up. If you've ever cut felt, leather, anything of that nature with your Cricut machine, you will know that at the end, you basically have to toss your mat. It is horrible on mats, but I have a solution for you. So I'm gonna add this felt to this green standard grip mat. But before I add the felt to the mat, the hack is strong grip transfer tape. So strong grip transfer tape is normally just for like glitter vinyl, very special vinyls. Like you don't use this very often. But I keep it all the time just for this hack, because I am in no mood to ruin my mat cutting some felt, and sometimes I cut a lot of felt with my Cricut. So I have a 12 by 12 piece of felt, and I have a 12 by 12 piece of strong grip transfer tape, and I'm going to peel that transfer tape off, and I'm going to add it to the back of the felt. So you would want this on the back. If like the felt has a pattern on it, be sure to add it to the back. And we're just going to line it up and just literally stick it to the back of this felt. So what does that do for you? So now I have a piece of felt, and I'm gonna press it down really well and make sure it's stuck. So now I have a piece of felt that basically has a plastic backing, and now we can stick the plastic backing to the mat instead of that felt, and all those felt fibers will not get on this mat at this point. So now stick that felt down. So it's felt, then strong grip transfer tape, then the mat. So actually the strong grip transfer tape is stuck to the mat, and the tape portion of the strong grip transfer tape is holding the felt. So that's one hack to get away with cutting felt. I've used it for leather. If you want to cut leather with the rough side down, it's perfect for that. So anything like that where that material is just going to ruin your mat, try the strong grip transfer tape in between the material and the mat and see if it doesn't cut just as well. And now let's say I've cut my felt and I'm done, and I'm peeling the mat back from the material. Once I peel that back, my mat is just fine. Like there are no little felt fibers all over my mat. My felt will be cut, and I can just peel off my cut pieces, just like I would peel them off from the mat, but this time I would just peel them off from the transfer tape. So super useful hack for saving those mats. Now, last hack, we're down to number 10. So we talked a little bit about writing like any shortcuts and notes on the front of these clear sheets when you add them to your mat. But I have a better solution for you. So I always recommend that you keep some kind of cheat sheet, especially as a Cricut beginner, with your machine. Sometimes you just forget what attach and weld, what blade cuts what material goes on what mat. You like forget all those things, and you need just a super quick reminder to make your crafting time a little bit quicker. So you don't want to Google everything, look on YouTube for everything and watch a video. If you just had like a super quick shortcut sheet, that would be perfect. So you can print those from a variety of sources online. I do have a set that I sell, and I have one for each machine. So I have one for the Cricut Maker, one for the Cricut Explorer, and one for the Cricut Joy. And then what I recommend is I also have a Cricut Design Space cheat sheet, and I recommend putting those back to back and laminating them and then just keeping them with your machine. So what I usually do is just like have my machine and then keep it right underneath it on my little cart, and then I can just pull it out whenever I need it and reference the cheat sheet for whatever question I have. So I am going to drop a link to my version of the cheat sheets below. Like I said, there are plenty of versions online. You can definitely Google cheat sheets or like spend the time and make your own. But I do recommend having some kind of cheat sheet close to your machine so you can just do a super quick reference and know exactly what you need and what all those terms and materials mean. So hopefully that helps you, those 10 Cricut hacks to master your machine. I know some of these hacks are gonna like blow your mind, but keep them in mind, use them, and I know that you are going to love each and every one of them when you start putting them into practice. So now I wanna know from you, do you have a favorite Cricut hack that you use all the time? Drop down in the comment section and tell me about it, because I would love to hear it and possibly give it a try. If you like this video, learned something new, give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, head on over to our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. We have Cricut videos every week and you don't want to miss any of those. So thank y'all so much for joining me today for our Cricut hacks. Hopefully you learned something, got a few hacks you can put into practice. And if you want to, comment below after you use some of these and tell me how you like them. So thanks y'all, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.